Excited for Scott Blair this afternoon. I met Scott last year. He runs RV Health, Natera Health. Natera is his SEO agency, and among many other hats that you do. And I know he has a lot of slides on search engine optimization. And obviously, you guys are interested. And we only have an hour, so please give it up for Scott Blair.
Okay. All right, you ready to go? Okay. Sounds good. I was actually sitting over here and I was kind of looking out the window. My view captured this particular little island that's over here on the left, and it just reminded me exactly of Glacier National Park. It was really cool looking. So anyway, we're going to get into SEO, search engine optimization is what it represents. And we're going to cover a lot of things related to the second half of this talk will be about what you do after you've got your content built, and how to go out and market that content and start building the links that help boost up your rankings. So just a quick introduction. This is my family. My wife, Lindsay. I've got 3 kids, Caitlin, Ellie, and Jude. We've been on the road for about 2.5 years. Our youngest is about to turn 3, so he was about 6 months old when we got into the rig to start traveling. So unfortunately, he was not our great sleeper like the other 2 were. So it took a while to get him trained. So Natera Group is a 100% remote digital marketing agency that I started about 10 years ago. We've just recently started adding employees into it, so I'm no longer the solo entrepreneur in this, or solo practitioner in this. So we've been adding to our team. I personally have been doing SEO for about 21 years, which is before Google was around. So I've seen the changes and things that have happened over the years. The things we'll run through, we'll be talking a lot about what's current, the things that are working right now. So our business, we help clients find new customers on Google through advertising, design, and doing marketing automation and funnels and all that kind of stuff. I have been in this for a while, so I've been in a few publications like Wall Street Journal and New York Times and things like that over my career. And these are some of the brands that I have worked with during that time. So we'll talk about the law of reaping and sowing. This really does come into play when it comes to SEO. The things that you go into and the efforts you put into it is what you'll end up reaping back out of it. So to take this analogy a little bit further, soil is the keyword research that you need to do prior to writing your article, at least during the process of writing your article. So you make sure you're optimizing your content and writing it to where it's going to help you rank. The seed is the actual content that you write. And then we'll get into the water, which is the building of backlinks. Most SEO people out there will talk about the backlinking aspects, but they look at it from a perspective of seasonal rain. It rains on you if you want to, and that's how you get your links. But we're going to talk about how to take a watering can to it and actually do your own backlinking to get those efforts done. And then we'll talk a little bit about that grow process and your leads, your ROI, and your call to action. I do have a number of tools and resources that we're going to talk about in this discussion. I have referenced most all of these on this website, on this page, nateragroup.com/tools. So you guys can go to that and click on all those links and find all the information we're going to discuss. I've got a few more that I need to add on to it that I decided to plug into this last minute, so I'll go back and edit that a little bit later. I'm not an affiliate guy, but I did put some affiliate links on this for the purposes that we're going to help support this King's Ransom. They help the widows and orphans and getting kids out of sex trafficking. So if you guys do that, that's where that money will be going. So the soil, we're going to talk about keyword research real quick. These are 3 different major tools that are out in the market. So we've got SEMrush, Ahrefs, and Mongols. I use all of them. But we're going to use Mongols for most of what we're talking about here, because I think for most everybody, I think the tools that are in Mongols will handle probably 90% of anything you need to do. So we're going to look at it from that perspective. It's $30 a month, really inexpensive in comparison, and it does about 80 to 90% of what the other tools do. So this is where we're going to start out. We're going to go through a little bit of a process of looking at a particular website and how that research comes into play and how they've optimized their content so you guys kind of see it in a structured format. I probably should have highlighted this, but the word camping chair is what we're going to search for here on this finding keywords. And this is where we're going to get in the results. On the left-hand side is your list of keywords that are related to that keyword. And then on the right, you're going to have the pages that are actually ranking for that particular keyword and what some of their numbers are. So what do you look for in search volume here? You're looking for things that are actually producing some search results. And this is on an average per month. The number of searches per month is what you're seeing in the first column. The next part of it is KD. That stands for keyword density or keyword difficulty, depending on which platform you're using. The magic numbers that you're looking for is something that's probably 35 and below. That gives you a number that says, this is possible for me as a blogger or a smaller website or a small business owner within the area I'm in to rank for that particular keyword. The higher the number is, the much more difficult it is to get to that ranking. The more time and effort you're going to have to put into it. So kind of look for things in the lower orange to the green zone on this, and you can go through and you write filters and you say, I want to only look at keywords that are 35 and below and have a search volume of 100 and more searches, and it narrows down your results so you kind of pick out what you're looking for. So in this one, we're going to look at this term, rocking camping chair. There is over 3,000 searches per month, and it has a keyword density of 28. Could be a good article for somebody to work on writing. One of the sites that's ranking for this right now is a website called Gear Junkie. So we're going to go look at them a little bit, and we'll cover some more of these metrics that are on the right side coming up as we do like evaluating our domains. So we'll get to that in a second. So we're going to be working on the writing of the content now. So we're now looking at that particular page that's ranking. They're showing 1,673 words on that page for that article. If you want to outrank them, I suggest you write at least 20% more content on that article than what they have. 20 to 50%. This is the web page. When we're going through and doing your optimization, we're looking at the meta title, that is the title for the website, and the meta description. If you're using WordPress, this is stuff that's going to be built into the tools down here. If you're adding in Yoast or all-in-one SEO or another one I'm going to talk about here in a second that I recommend, but that's where you go and edit those things. By default, it'll pull it what your title for that blog post is, and then whatever your website is after that. But you can go and optimize that and adjust it if you want to. So it's a little more optimized. So in the bottom corner or bottom of the slide, this is how it shows up in Google. Is the top one is the title of the page, and then the description is right below that. If you have great content that you've written in the past and it's not showing up in the search engines, one of the little hacks that you can do is to go make a few edits on your page and go and change the publish date, make it something that's more recent, and Google will go back and re-index that. It won't view it as stale content anymore. So that's a way you can kind of pull stuff and get it going a little faster. So this is looking at the tags. We're looking at the H1 tag here. Highly, highly recommend you only use one H1 tag per page. You can do multiple H2s, you can do multiple H3s, but you should only have one H1 tag. You can do some style sheets and adjust the look of your page on H2s to make it look like an H1, but in the code it should only have one per page. Rank Math is a great little analyzer tool, and it's also a plugin, but it's an analyzer tool. You can look at third-party websites, and you can look at the keywords that are common on the page, what their description is, their H1. If they had multiple ones there'd be a red mark for that. The H2 tags, you can see in the image alt attribute. Did I lose my audio? There we go. The image alt attribute. That is, I think I described this maybe in another class in here at one point, but it's describing what that image is. That is important for ADA compliance, for people who are visually impaired. They have some tools and stuff that can help read the content that's on the page, and they'll read what those images are. So that's why part of that why is important. The other part of it is Google image search. If you want to be able to rank inside of the image searches, especially if you're a photographer, putting alt text in there will help you show up in the rankings on images.google.com when people are searching there. So one of the other huge benefits is doing internal linking on your pages. This is your content on your website. You've got links that you want to basically link your articles, your posts, your other pages, and do that within contextual basis. So Freestyle Rocker is a link within their article for their rocking camping chairs, And they've per another post on their website that's talking specifically about that freestyle rocker. So they use that and link to other pages. Do 3, 4 of those, per article is generally recommended. It helps distribute your authority on your website throughout the rest of your website. So why internal linking? Internal strengthens the overall search optimized value of a website. Inner linking does so by providing clear paths for spiders, prolonged sessions for users, and a tight-knit network of pages and posts. So this aids in your website navigation. It helps define the architecture of your website. And like I said, it distributes your page authority. So everybody's website has domain authority and page authority, and your homepage is generally your strongest. So you want to be able to interlink some things that are on your homepage to other pages of content that you want to rank for highly. So take there, find the right words that make sense, and link those into your other articles. So that really does strengthen up your site quite a bit. So you may have any questions so far. I'll take one question. Okay.
So when you say to have 3 or 4 backlink internal links in that blog, is that the same link, or are you doing different?
Different links to different pages. Yeah. So WordPress plugins. Most people, I think, are probably on WordPress, but I know a lot of people on other platforms. But when it comes to WordPress, Yoast is by far the highest and strongest right now. And then there's another one called All-in SEO Pack. These are 2 of the most common. There's a new one that has come out recently that I would suggest you guys take a look at. And this is one called Rank Math. It is Yoast and about 5 or 6 other plugins all combined into one system that handles your redirects and your rich snippets and all kinds of stuff. It's extremely powerful, and I think it's going to overtake Yoast over the next few years. So just give you a quick snapshot of what this looks like. You got 404 monitors. It checks and see if you got pages that are just showing up and people aren't finding what they're looking for. There is a default checks in here where you can say, if it goes to a page that doesn't exist, you can redirect them to a home page or redirect them to other pages if you want to. And then like you're familiar with Yoast, on the right-hand side, you can see where as you're writing your content, you can put in focus keywords you want to work on for that particular page, and it tells you whether or not you've optimized properly for this. So got a lot of great feedback. It looks at your number of characters you've put in your title. It needs to be less than 60. Your descriptions need to be less than 160. All this stuff keeps track of that for you and gives you the feedback on it. You don't necessarily need to get 100 out of 100 on these. It's just a metric. So, optimize it the way that you feel like you need to get where you're needing to go.
Can you put this and Yoast both in, or is it either or?
It's either or. And great question, because when you install this Rank Math tool, it will actually pull in everything from Yoast and auto-apply it into the system. So you're not losing anything. You don't have to recreate anything. It's all imported in. It also pulls the redirects from other plugins into it, so you don't lose that information. It's really slick. It's actually lighter than Yoast. Yeah. Talking about rich snippets, do we have any bloggers, lifestyle bloggers, anything like that are in here? A lot of them? Okay, quite a few. So when you're doing posts, you need to make sure you're using rich snippets. This makes a big difference in your SEO. And most people don't do this. It's not even part of the Yoast plugin that I'm aware of. But you can go through and tell it, this is an article. You can, by default, set up, I'm putting the title in this and all that kind of stuff. But the optimizations for this is something that's become very important over the last year and a half. A couple other major factors in your SEO is your website speed and your security. As of a few months ago, if you're not an HTTPS website, if your site is not secure, you're going to get penalized with Google search results now. So definitely go get your SSL certificates. Depending on where you're doing your web hosting at, Let's Encrypt is a free option for getting this. You don't have to pay a couple $100s a year to get that done. Fortunately, you cannot get this with GoDaddy. They want you to pay for it. But if you're using like SiteGround or WP Engine or Flywheel or some of those other platforms, I think Bluehost may have it as well. Let's Encrypt is available for that, and it's free. Cloudflare is a great content delivery network. I'm trying to think how to even describe this particular tool. But But it sits between where you registered your domain and where your web hosting is. So it's your DNS, it's your domain name server. So it sits in the middle. You point your domain from where you registered at to Cloudflare, and then Cloudflare sends it to your website where you're hosting at. It caches your website. It handles malware security issues that come up. So if people are trying to do domain attacks on your site, it blocks them. It will automatically compress your HTML files and your JavaScript and your images. It does all this stuff on the fly on the back end for you, so you don't necessarily have to go and do that individually for each file. The extra $20 is worth it for this as well, but it is free. But it makes a huge difference in your site speed. I think for most cases, you'll probably see at least a 2 times increase in your site speed when you load this one in. Okay. So I'll jump into the backlinking process. Do you guys have any questions so far up until this point with the...
Question on the Cloudflare.
Yeah.
Do you need to be aware of any weird caching issues with these Cloudflare, like when you're editing and making updates to your website? Doesn't show up, you have to refresh Cloudflare?
Yeah, that can happen. Mainly happens with CSS updates. It doesn't really happen with your words and content that you're updating, but if you're doing style sheet updates where you're trying to adjust the style and look of your website, sometimes Cloudflare will cache that and not show the updated. So if you go into Cloudflare, they have a developer mode setting where you can click that and it puts it on pause for a couple hours while you're doing an edit so you can see it fresh. Yep. There is a Cloudflare plugin too, and I think it does detect some of that stuff too, so it'll auto do that stuff as well.
Does RankMath also take care of the sitemap?
Yes. RankMath does do your sitemap as well. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
What's your opinion on stacking date on blog posts? So having that show on your blog posts is not.
If you're doing blog posts, I think it's worth doing to go ahead and publish it. It gives Google a sense of when it was done, but if you have problems of that getting that ranked and it's been a while, like I was talking about, then you can go back and make a little update on it. Just update a little bit of the content, about 5–10% of it, and then change the date.
I think the reason that it's become kind of an argument in the digital marketing space is because if it's dated, then it's not considered necessarily evergreen content.
Right.
A lot of developers say it's a year old, it's 2 years old, it's not relevant anymore. But if you don't have it, then Google's not checking the date, right?
Right. Okay, so what are backlinks in anchor text, and why are they important? So I'll go to describe this a little bit, and then we'll kind of get into the importance of those things. So link building and backlinks. Link building is a process of collecting links from other websites, and these links are crawled by the search engines. So your website, you want it to rank higher, you're looking for other websites, other blogs, other news sources to link to your website, so you become authority on that particular subject. Does that make sense? Okay. This is just a quick little snapshot of looking at something called Link Miner. It's part of that Mangle tools that I was showing you earlier. This is an example of a backlink. This is a completely separate website that is linking to Gear Junkie related to the article that they had written. So they're looking at dispersed camping. This word dispersed camping that's in this keyword is called anchor text. So from a coding perspective, that's kind of what it looks like. So instead of showing the actual full URL as part of the link that's hyperlinked, the blue little hyperlinks, you're using words to send it to that website. So these words, especially in contextual cases, it's what tells Google that you're an authority on that particular subject. So instead of just linking, and you do need to do this, website or your brand name, you need to mix in keywords that you want to rank for in Google. Actually, I forgot to put in a slide here, but you can use what we call these keywords or these other phrases to link to your website. About 75 to 80% of your overall volume of backlinks coming in. 20 to 25% should be about your branding, and then probably another 5% or so is what we call the naked URL. That's like website.com that they're linking to you. Does that make sense? You guys have any questions on that? What was that again? So let's see if I can pull up one more slide here. Okay, so in the anchor text, this is a little bit of an anchor text profile related to Gear Junkie. So you can see on the top line it says Gear Junkie with a blog. That's a branded term for them. The other, like Nate Kitka or Best in Show Award, things like that, those are other words that have been used to link to their website. Not represented here is the URL itself. So you need a good mix, and you need variety of those backlinks, or those phrases that are being used. So you can't always say tasty pizza recipe. You might do variations on that, like a recipes for tasty pizza, do variations. If you do the same one over and over and over again, Google looks at it as being like you're spamming it. So you need to put variety into those and spread it out a little bit. So we'll get into how to evaluate a domain. How are we doing on time? Okay, we're doing great. Domain authority, page authority, these are things that are put out by Moz. Citation flow and trust flow is by a company called Majestic. The reason I like the site profiler and these Mangold tools is it's bringing all these things into one platform. You're not having to go out and pay $100, $200 a month to Moz and $50 a month to Majestic. It's in one platform for you. So it's all here. Domain authority and page authority, those are kind of general. Probably more related to what you would think is like PageRank back in the day from Google. The citation flow and trust flow is looking at the quantity and the quality of links that are going to that particular website. Citation flow is the quantity, and it's in relative comparison to other people that are in that particular niche. The trust flow is the quality of links, and those are based on how close is a website in relation to a site like Wikipedia. How many steps removed? So kind of like if Wikipedia is linking to Gear Junkie and Gear Junkie is linking to your website, you've got a bigger boost from that one. If Wikipedia is linking to 2 or 3 other websites, and then one of those is linking to Gear Junkie, then you're further removed from that process from getting to that authority website. So that's what that trust flow is, kind of checking to see how close they are in relation to an authority. The other part here is looking at referring IP addresses. It doesn't really matter too much how many backlinks a website has. You're looking more for the unique number of IP addresses that are linking to them, because a single domain website that's on a unique IP could send you 500 backlinks. Google's really only evaluating one of them at a higher level. You get a little bit of benefit from the other ones, but it's really the major one is that one that's coming from that unique IP address. So on this link miner tool, it's also part of Mangold's, you can go through and look at that particular page that you're wanting to research, and you can see all the backlinks that they're getting to that particular page. So if you're writing an article and you would like to get some backlinks, this could be a good way to go through and look and see where they're getting their links from, which ones are worth you going out and pursuing that have strong authority on them. So you have left column is a citation flow, then you have trust flow, EL, I think it's estimated number of links, the Facebook shares, and then on the very far right is link strength. So that's part of their metrics. You could probably look at that one and get away with it. But same thing with trust flow. You're looking for generally the higher trust flow sites to link to you than higher citation. If you find a site that has a really high citation and low trust, could be an indication they've got spam or malware issues, other things that may have happened in the past, and that could be a damaging link coming to your website. So you want to avoid those. Look for ones that have stronger trust flow. Everybody lost? All right, so I'm going to go through and we're going to talk about some different ways that you can actually go and source backlinks and look for opportunities to where you've written a great piece of content, you've gotten it published, and now you're ready to start going out and looking for ways to get other sites to link to that particular piece of content that you have on your site. So one option is this site called Help a Reporter Out. It's helpareporter.com. Is anybody familiar with this one? Oh, great. That's awesome. For those of you who are not familiar, you can list yourself as being a source on a particular topic, And as these news writers and other people are working on writing content, they're looking for people to be a source in their articles. So they can contact you, and you can be part of that news source and maybe get a backlink out of it. You also will get a list every day. If you want to subscribe to certain types of articles coming in, then you can, or types of content that people want to write, they'll give you a list, and you can reach out to that reporter and say, hey, I'm a resource for this, and I'd be interested in providing some content for you. The other one is Link Miner, so we were just talking about this. You can look at that website, see where all they're getting their backlinks, and start looking for some opportunities that may make sense. This could be really good, but it also could take a lot of time. So there are some other ways we can go through this that use this in conjunction with number 3 that we're going to show you, which is this website called Drop My Link. This is another free tool. You can come and search for the word camping, and then you're looking for what's called footprints. These are websites that have on their content, they're saying they're accepting blog posts. They're looking for guest articles. So you can come in there and click on this, try out different ones, and you'll get some results where they're basically pulling up Google search results of websites that are looking for contributors. So you can go through, look at these, find a site that is wanting to accept those, then go back over to Link Miner and look at that particular website and see if it's an authoritative site or enough of an authoritative site that it's worth you writing for it. Does that make sense? Any other questions so far? Yes, sir.
Earlier, you mentioned using keywords. There's been some debate back and forth a little bit about how many words you're supposed to have in your anchor text, like how much you use the length of your link in order that makes a difference.
As far as the number of words in a particular piece of anchor text, not really. You need variety. So sometimes you want to go for what we call long tail. So you want to have 5, 6, 7, 8 words that are in a particular link. Other times you want 2 or 3, but it's more about having the variety that builds out your overall tag profile that Google looks at that represents what your website is. Okay. So I've accepted guest blog posts for some of the websites that I've represented, and this is an email that I got from somebody at one point asking if I would be interested in accepting a blog post. So I kind of broke this down a little bit because I thought it was a very effective email. He virtually started out with getting my attention, and then he went through and he identified a problem that he was noticing within the industry. And then he pitched his idea to me. And then he made the ask, and then he requested a response back. So look at this as maybe like a formula for how you might want to structure your email that you might want to be sending out to some of these third-party websites where you might want to be submitting a blog post to them. And I'll take this slide and I'll add this onto that tools page for you guys too. So your community, collaborate, network. You've got a lot of people here that have other travel blogs and websites. So talk with them and trade articles back and forth. That's a great way for you guys to kind of elevate yourselves together in your rankings. 5th one, and this one is controversial at times, but using Fiverr or Conquer or some of these other websites for purchasing backlinks. I do not recommend the list that are on this particular slide. Where you're going to purchase 5,000 backlinks at once. You know, they're going to be spammy backlinks, so it's not going to be good for you. But 2, just think about if you've been getting 1 or 2 backlinks per month and all of a sudden you got 5,000 and then next month you got 1 or 2 again, Google's going to know something's up. So don't go this route. Focus on these type of things where they are people that are saying, hey, pay me $5 and I'll give you a guest blog post on my website. You're looking for the good domain authority and page authority. You're looking for the trust flow on these. You don't necessarily need to write your best content for these type of articles. You're just looking for the backlink for it. So in some cases, you may want to use, like a writing service. I've at times used iWriter for writing some content. You can pay $5, $10 for somebody to write you an article, industry related, and you get that content, and then you kind of make some updates to it where you can add a keyword or two for things that you're wanting to rank for, link it to your website and submit it over to this Fiverr gig. They'll get it posted and you've got a backlink out of it. So it's a good way to go through it. But you do want to make sure that it's unique content. Make sure they're not taking content from other websites, running it through like a spinner, and sending it back to you, and you make sure it's good quality content. So Copyscape, you can take that content, paste it in here. There's a link to a page, but there's also other ones in here where you can actually paste the whole article into it, and it'll go out and scrape the web real quick, and it'll let you know the percentage of unique content that particular article is. If it's not up to the standards, send it back to your iWriter writer and have them go back and edit it again, or cancel it and find somebody else to write it. So for these type of guest post links, recommended 3 links per article at most. 2, maybe 3. The first link within it needs to be a link that's going to your personal website, using some of the keyword anchor text that we're talking about. The second one is a link from an authority website. So you want to link out to something like Wikipedia or one of the big news sources. This kind of helps establish your content alongside authority. So you're both appearing in the same article. It kind of helps elevate your site a little bit. And the third one, you can link out to social media, news, a video, or another website. This is getting a little bit higher. Say if you got multiple of these, you could link to another website that's linking to your website. That helps increase the strength of the other website that is linking to you. So it's a way to kind of boost up the ones you've already got out there. And grow. We'll talk about leads and the ROI. It's all got to be worth something, right? So let's look at your call to action. Are you looking for gaining new customers, your ad revenue, email opt-ins? Make sure what it's landing on your website has some form of call to action to it. And it's whatever is really related to your business. I had a client that had a blog article that we worked on doing a lot of these backlinkings and got them ranked up in the top of Google for about 20,000 searches per month, keyword. And they were getting a lot of traffic, but not a lot of sales. And we went back and looked at it, and they didn't have a call to action on the page. So we went and fixed that, and then they jumped their revenue up about 15% the next month after we made those adjustments. So make sure you've got a good call to action on those pages that you're working on. It could be things in your sidebar, but you just need to have something in there. So kind of breaking back down, these are some of the key takeaways that we kind of discussed. So your keyword research before writing, you can use Mongols or some of these other tools, but you're looking for the keywords that you're wanting to show up for in the right variety of keywords. Write great content, do 20 to 50% greater than what the competitors are. Make sure you're optimizing your title, your description. Only have one H1 tag on your page. You can have multiple H2s. Interlinking is extremely important, so make sure that's part of your ongoing efforts to make sure you're interlinking your content. SSL certificates are a must these days. You guys have got to get that. And then Cloudflare is very recommended for helping speeding up your website. Rank Math is that tool that I was talking about, and then you just got to work on building your backlinks. That's a big part of it. A lot of bloggers that have been around for a long time, they don't have to worry about that part of it as much because it rains on them all the time. But if you're getting started out, you're going to have to go through and do this manually for a while. So break down to this. This is my contact information. Thought I would open up for maybe some Q&A if you guys have some questions. And Jed, do you guys want the mic, or how do you want to do that? Yes, ma'am.
Where's one of the best places to keep up with containers?
That's a good question. Yeah, so she asked where is maybe some websites or content that she can kind of keep up with some of the changes that are going on. Moz is a really good place. MOZ keeps up with them very well. Mongols has actually got a very good blog, so I would recommend looking at that one as well. So they do a great job of aggregating things. I should, but I don't. I've got a few articles on there, but I find myself too busy helping out my clients. Neil Patel is also a great resource. Mongols. Yeah. Mangools, I think.
I think this works. Yep.
When it comes to sharing links on my website that go to external sites, should I do no follow still? Or what do you think about that?
You can do follow. Yeah, Google does look at the fact of whether or not you're passing your authority back out to other websites. So you can mix it up a little bit, and that's okay. Maybe there's certain sites that maybe you don't want to pass that, but you want to link to it, and that's just make judgment calls. But I wouldn't make all of your external links no follows.
Question about domain names. .com is obviously what we all want. Are there advantages to also having the .net, .org, etc.? And what about having a .com address with a different descriptive domain name that links back to that original one?
I think so. So yeah, .com is definitely the authority. .net, .org, .edu. Probably the biggest upcoming one is .io, but it's really tech companies that are using that mostly. If you're buying multiple domains and you're trying to link those back to the other website, if you're just doing forwarding of those sites, unless they've already got domain authority and trust flow and things, it's really not going to make any difference from an SEO perspective. Does that make sense?
It makes no sense to have all three .net, .org, etc.
Just do it to protect your brand. So make sure you don't have competitors or somebody else go and pick up one of those domains and then they're doing more work to rank.
Used to be you could have like a descriptive, like I had my name as my photography site, and I had Photographer San Antonio, Texas as a site that linked back to it. Does that help anymore, or is that a waste?
Suggest you probably have a second website completely and work on that one as an independent site. And you can link back to the other one, but I would build a separate website and optimize that.
Just the name alone doesn't.
Just having the name alone won't do any good unless it's a site that's got content on it.
So Scott, just have two short questions. One actually just extending on that. I'll give you an example of what my wife and I are grappling with right now. We have our main site is out of normal, but we tried to get pretty creative and we put outofnorm.al. Outofnormal.com happens to be someone out of Bloomington, Illinois selling stuff. So my first question is, what are the drawbacks of trying to do that, and are there any advantages? That's one. And then two, if we're using something other than WordPress, like whether it's Squarespace, Kajabi, a lot of those that we're building the site right on, do you have any disadvantages just in general as far as SEO with that?
Google will value the .coms over some of the other extensions. So that's kind of what it is right now. It may change over time, and it's getting better. But yeah, .com's still going to have a higher authority. I'm sorry, what was the other part of the question?
Just the other one, if you're using, we talked a lot about WordPress, but if you're using,
yes.
Squarespace, Kajabi, things like that, how does that impact?
Those are fine. There's just more tools and resources out and available for WordPress. I really don't have a problem with the other platforms. One I probably would just suggest staying away from is Wix. That one does have a lot of issues with it. The way that they publish their code, it's in Ajax, and it's not indexable by the search engines very well. They have to have workarounds for that. And there was a period of, I think about a year and a half or 2 years ago, where all Wix websites got completely de-indexed from Google. And they had to go through and patch stuff, and it took them some time to get that fixed. So I personally would recommend just staying away from the Wix. I know it's a quick and easy way to get up, but it doesn't benefit your site very much.
So I'm really fascinated about the whole anchor text, and I'm just wondering if you're doing like a call to action, like you mention a blog post and you're saying click here to read more. Would you link that whole sentence? Would you add more keywords to it? What's your recommendation there?
You can do both. I mean, you can have click here to read more. That's perfectly fine to do that. Yeah, Google looks for variety. They expect to see things that say click here and website and view more for that type of stuff. But just also find maybe ways, maybe in the content prior to that, where you might have the link that goes out to that website that is, some form of keyword anchor text.
Okay, I was just wondering if some of those situations, maybe within the article, you could just link to the part where you're talking about, say if I'm talking about like sleeping bags, I didn't know if it was better to just link sleeping bags to an article, or if just say click here to read an article about sleeping bags and link that.
You can do both, but
Okay.
yeah, the sleeping bags does help.
Yeah.
So the more of that you have, the better.
Cool.
But Google does expect to see click here and learn more as part of your mix and makeup.
Cool. Thank you.
Hey Scott, can you take a little bit of time to talk about the state of the SEO industry? And it seems like there's a lot of SEO companies, but at the same time, there's a lot of potential clients out there that don't have an SSL website and aren't doing these just very basics out there. And there's a lot of SEO companies that say they promise page one, and a lot of noise out there. Do you think that the world needs more SEO, less SEO, better SEO? Any comments there?
I think everybody needs to work on their SEO if you guys expect to get, to show up in Google. Because if you're not, somebody else is probably doing it, so you're not going to show up. So yeah, it has to be done, and you just look for the different factors that are important right now, which is the secure certificates. Start with that. Your interlinking on your website. It's follow the best practices that come to that for your on-site optimization, and then work in the ops side of pursuing the backlinks. Okay.
You mentioned in one of the ways to get backlinks about going on, like Fiverr or something. I've always heard that you shouldn't be paying for backlinks, that it's that Google will punish your site if you're doing that. Can you talk more about like that debate, or why you recommend buying it when I see everywhere else they say don't buy links?
I'm personally practiced a little bit in the gray. So, there's a lot of what you call full white hat SEOs that don't go that route, but they struggle, to ranking. So I have no problem paying for backlinks. It's part of the economy of the web. So whether or not you're doing an affiliate link with somebody or you're paying a few bucks to have it listed, yeah, I don't see it as a problem.
Hey Scott, what do you think about optimization and the potential impact of voice search over the next 2 or 3 years?
It probably goes a little bit into the ADA stuff, so just making sure you're optimized for it. Rich snippets is a really big part of the voice stuff, so as long as you're optimizing your content and putting that rich snippets and using that rank math plugin for your content, that will help with that part of it.
Can you talk a little bit more about the best practice for search words in the headers versus the subheads versus the text itself? I've heard a little bit different things about which is better, worse, more, how many you should include per post.
Yeah, so definitely your primary keywords need to be in your title of the page and your H1 tag, and then put related keywords into your secondary headers.
Any particular, ideal number per post total?
Probably about 5, maybe focus on about 5 keywords per post. More than that, it gets a little too complicated.
Just as a quick follow-up, they used to say you wanted to use metadata and meta keywords for stuff for SEO search. Is that gone?
Pretty much. He asked about meta keywords so you have your meta title and meta description and meta keywords. Keywords are really not being used anymore. So you can put them in if you want to, but the value of doing it is really not worth there anymore. So it's more looking at the content, and the recurring amount of your keywords and variations of that on your page is really what it's at.
This isn't really an SEO question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. For those of us who have a website that we're building an email list, do you think pop-ups are still effective, or are bars like part of the UI, or what are your thoughts on that?
I'm not crazy about pop-ups, but if you do them, put them on some sort of a delay, or wait until they've scrolled down a certain amount, like half the page. There's ways you can do that with some of those plugins that pop up. Just don't do it as soon as they get to the page, don't pop it up. That's going to annoy them. But wait till maybe they've scrolled down about halfway into the content before it pop-ups, or put it on like a 10-second timer or something like that, and only show it probably once. And if they click out of it, don't pop it back up again on their next page.
Okay, cool. 'Cause, 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 'c
think we got one back there.
You said something about the how you kind of play in the gray area of links, knowing way back when JCPenney got majorly messed up because of the company they were using, and Google totally changed their algorithms. How often does that happen, especially doing the gray area of backlinks, buying backlinks?
If you're buying backlinks, I say it's kind of very light gray. Where you're a little bit heavier in the gray is when you're using like private blog networks, PBNs, and if you're not covering your tracks well enough, that's where you can definitely get in trouble when things like that come up. Does that answer your question? That's kind of gray. Black hat is like some of those things on Fiverr where you get like 5,000 backlinks in a publish because they're taking advantage of vulnerabilities in WordPress and other things to do comment posts and things like that on sites where they've basically hacked in. So stay away from that type of stuff.
Hi, thank you so much for this.
Sure.
So every single time I think about SEO, I feel super duper overwhelmed, and I just kind of like don't do anything because I feel like I have to do everything. And so that hasn't worked out very well. So if you could just boil this down to like one action item that I could do now, what would that action item be?
Interlinking your content, that would be the first thing to work on.
What plugins would you suggest for security so people don't hack into your WordPress site?
WordFence is probably one of the best ones out there right now. WordFence, yeah, that one is listed on the site on that tools page. Secondly, Cloudflare will block a lot of it before it ever gets to your site, so that would be the other one to utilize. Say that again?
You use WordFence, don't forget when you put your
Right.
So writing titles for blog posts are going to be the death of me, I swear. But if you have limited content or limited characters and you have to try and put your keyword in there, how do you suggest crafting like a title?
Crafting it, do the best you can with the title and put the rest of it into the description.
But the keywords definitely need to be like the first part of the title?
I would focus on one major keyword, and if you can kind of squeeze in a second one into your title, that's generally good enough for that. And then do variations of that within your description.
Okay. And then does it matter if that keyword is the very first word or just within the title, within the first few?
It matters more if it's like in the H1 tag.
Okay.
It's more as opposed to the placement on the page.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Just in general, how descriptive do the alt tags need to be?
Not very. It's really just describe what the image is. It could be one word, it could be 5 or 6. I would say avoid putting apostrophes into it. Sometimes that can mess up the closing and opening tags on occasion. I've noticed that in the past. But yeah, otherwise just a couple words to describe it, and it may be more related to the content on the page. It's also a great way to kind of drop a keyword into your page, is to give that on the alt text as well.
So if I was going to say reference a Facebook group on my site, and they do have a cover photo, am I describing the photo? Is that more important, or putting the name of the group, or both?
You can do both. You can do both. Anybody else? All right. Oh, got one more.
Of course, it's all the way in the back. I'm kidding.
I used to have an authenticator app on my phone that was supposed to connect to protect my website. Is that something that's actually helping? It recently stopped running, and I don't know if it's worth spending the time to get it back going again.
What was it again?
It was called the authenticator.
Authenticator, so two-factor authentication.
What's that?
Two-factor authentication
Yes.
for logging in?
Yeah, that's what it is, sorry.
Yeah, those would be great for kind of helping to make sure people aren't hacking into your site. Yeah, that's a good tool to have.
Okay, I'll put it back on there, thank you.
Yeah. Well, hopefully everybody got something out of this. I appreciate you coming to the talk. I know Brianna's going to be doing a talk on Pinterest, which is another great source for traffic for content, especially for blogs. So hopefully you guys stick around for that. And if you guys have any other questions, I will be out and around here for the rest of the day. So thank you.